to Let's Play Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, Volume 2, because it's the second game we're doing. Starting from the third warp room because I was, again, collecting gems off screen. You'll be happy to know that I managed to get everything for the first 3 warp rooms, as well as the secret warp room. So, other than the stuff on warp room 4, I'm not looking forward to doing you, Cold Hard Crash. Digging it. Oh, it's almost as bad. But, yeah. You won't be seeing me suffer through all that. We're gonna work through all that, and I'm gonna give you a little update on the secret ending of Crash 2. I believe I'm gonna have to save that for a bonus video. I'm actually thinking about it now. There's actually a lot of potential for a bonus video anyway, because not only can I show off the secret ending of Crash 2, but I think I can also do the secret bonus levels of Crash 1 and Crash 3 as well, but would actually make sense. Without further ado, though, we're going to start the fun part off with the boss of Warp Room 4, Dr. N-Jin, the assistant we saw in the opening cutscene with the rocket lodged in his head. I bet he has quite the backstory.
Like Dr. Cortex said, give the 20 crystals you've collected to me!
So N-Jin has unique boss fights in the series. Basically, every time you fight him, he's always in some sort of mecha or robot. Think Dr. Eggman from the Sonic series. That sort of thing. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Eggman was at least a partial inspiration with N-Jin's whole shtick with preferring robots for his fighting, rather than fighting directly. You never fight N-Jin directly in the Crash series. The closest thing is racing against him in Crash 2 Racing, I guess, which is kind of funny to think about, but there you go. But this first fight is kind of weird because now if you push the spin button, instead Crash will throw fruit. And you see he's doing like kind of a rudimentary tossing animation. I can tell you this, it's a lot more than what he had in the PS1 game where he didn't have an animation for throwing fruit. The fruit just kind of spawns out of nowhere, which is kind of funny to think about. It's really weird. Aiming the fruit can be kind of finicky though, kind of a pain. Like, this is probably going to take a lot longer than it should just because I got to aim the fruit at his arms. Once you take out his arms, you need to aim for his shoulders, which are going to start shooting rockets. Shoot in a pattern like that. One forward and one backward. I think it alternates to do that pattern. So, yeah. But it is finicky to aim. It makes the fight drag on a little bit. Not that much, though. It's pretty good. The last hit is also kind of tricky to hit sometimes, I find. But I do like N-Jin's boss fights on a conceptual level. And, well, this won't be the last time we fight him in a mech. I think in terms of my Let's Plays, the next game will be his last time, because I'm going to have to wait and see on that one. But, yeah. I guess the best time to get his shoulders is when he's doing the rockets, because he keeps them open for a little bit longer. I don't know, he's moving around in such a finicky pattern, so it's really hard to aim the fruit in that sense. The best time to get him really is when he's doing that, as you can see. And I don't know. I think if you get one, the other one takes longer to destroy or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, just keep spamming the spin button, honestly, and eventually you will take him down. Eventually. Yeah, with the rockets. Man, yeah, I pretty much exhausted everything I have to say about the fight. Oh, wait, no! He changes up his attack at the last minute. And I think the fight takes away your Aku mask, unfortunately. I don't know if all the boss fights do that, but this one does. And now for the final hit, you gotta shoot at his laser. Oh boy, and you really don't get much of an opportunity for that. I mean, hey, you don't want to stand on the platform after no more. Alright, did it. Nice. I think the slide button will throw fruit as well, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's Dr. N-Jin, the first time we fight him. So, let's move on to Warp Room 5.
What is your problem, Bandicoot? I will not ask you again to bring me the crystals. Obtain the remaining 5 crystals, Crash, and bring them to me.
yeah, we gotta get the last 5 crystals. We will do just that again. I will still be getting gems off screen, and I will be trying to show off the secret ending in a bonus video, which will also include Stormy Ascent for Crash 1 and a level called Future Tense for Crash 3. So stay tuned for that. Now though, we're gonna focus on finishing Crash 2. Alright, so first we have Piston It Away. This is a space level. I'll say that much without going into too much further detail. Has I think my favorite music track in this game. So because Piston It Away has a death route that you have to backtrack for in order to get everything. So I'm glad I don't have to worry about that for minimal box run. Rocket is a gimmick level. I will wait until we get to it to talk about it. Night Fight is the level I was talking about a while back. Totally Fly and this level are the same thing. They're basically Turtle Woods, but at night. I couldn't tell you which one was harder between this or Totally Fly. I seem to remember this one being the harder one. But that might just be if you're going for everything. If you're just going for the crystal, I don't know. This one might be actually a breath of fresh air. Pack Attack is another one like Rocket. And Spaced Out is the second space level. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing Crash then Coco for these space levels, I'm going to do Coco first, and then we're going to have Crash do the last space level, because it's also the last level of the game. Let's just dive right into it, why don't we? Like I said, I wanted to be silent for a little bit so people could get a taste of that good music, man. Oh, I'm telling you. Anyways, Piston It Away and Spaced Out, they're levels that take place in space! But I find that a lot of stuff is reminiscent of, like, Heavy Machinery and Castle Machinery from the original Crash, like, in terms of a lot of the gimmicks that you run into. Not so much the enemy types, though they are reminiscent of some of the robotic enemies we saw in Crash 1. Specifically in Island 3. That's where it got really industrial, I guess you could say. And apparently I had to destroy that box, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to slide right under here. So the thing about the enemies here is that some of them you need to slide into, and some of them you need to jump on. But there are enemies like this guy that alternate between being vulnerable from a jump or a slide. And which one you have to use is determinant on that. And another thing that's similar to Castle Machinery are these hot things that, if you touch, they will kill you. Actually, now I think about it, that might be a generator room thing. Now that I'm trying to think about it more, but... yeah, a lot of gimmicks in Spaced Out and Piston It Away kind of return from, like, Island 3 of Crash 1. Which is fitting, because that was the final island in Crash 1, and this is the final warp room, so... yeah, the final warp room is... pretty interesting, honestly. Pretty interesting roster of levels to end on. Even if difficulty-wise, pretty much most of the difficulty is put into Piston It Away and Spaced Out. It's almost like the difficulty was Piston It Away. I mean, that's the joke of the name of the level, but, I mean, still. So, the way you backtrack to the death route is that you need to keep that enemy that I killed alive, and you have to use him as a sacrifice of sorts, because you try to go back any other way, like I just did there, I don't think it's going to work. You're going to have to keep that enemy alive so you can bounce off of it in order to get back to where that death route platform is. And yeah, you have to get all the boxes in the death route and on the main path, Now, on the main path, you have to get that first because the death route ends on an exit portal. So, you know. And here we have scientists that their only attack is pushing you with a barrier. Alright. And, well, if they get a hit on you with the barrier, they do push you back. Which, yeah, they can push you back into a bottomless pit if you're not careful. So, time the slides just right. I would argue that they're the least threatening of the three enemies here, though. These guys, you know, with their timing, it can sometimes be really disadvantageous. I'm not gonna lie. Alright, time it. Ah, man! Slid off the platform. I don't think that's ever happened before. I don't think, but yeah. They touch you with the barrier and they bounce you. They can get you sometimes. I still say they're the least threatening enemy in this level type, honestly. Yep, definitely. But they doesn't mean it still can't get you. Pissing away and spaced out. You know, there's some of the harder levels in Crash 2, to be sure. But Warp Room 4 with Digging It, Cold Hard Crash, Ruination, pretty much every level can be problematic one way or the other. Hanging Out's the lesser of 5 evils, but even that's pretty hard if you're not careful. So, you know, I think they placed that scientist too far in the center here, but I could be wrong. Alright, we got it that time, and I didn't slide off like a fool. Like a foolish fool who foolishly slides into oblivion foolishly. Something like that. Hey, an extra life, and I don't have to destroy a box to get it? Thank you very much. Not that I really need it, actually. So this is the part where you hit this box, and this is when you need to start backtracking to the Death Route platform. I recommend to save the bonus room on the way back. That way you can have the bonus room checkpoint as a failsafe, I guess you could say. But this is where we continue the main path, which I don't know if I've shown this off before. Not that there's much left. We're already at the end. But I have to double check and make sure I got the crystal. I'm not doubting myself, but yeah. Normally this level's pretty long since you have to backtrack back to Death Route, but this went by pretty quick, even with that one death. So. And I hope everybody enjoys the music. But yeah, it's great music. Yeah, so it's the forest, but it's at night. But you see the helpful firefly over there. Bada bing, bada boom, and now we have our way lit up right in front of us. So yeah, Totally Fly, the level I unlocked with the secret exit for Hanging Out, is basically a level like this. But I actually played it off screen, and I just remembered. That is the level where you have to destroy a bunch of metal boxes in the dark. Oh boy, that's definitely painful. I want to say this level, there's some shenanigans where you have to, yeah, the Death Route platform. I think on the Death Route, there are some boxes you have to destroy to get the main gem in this level. And it also has the second gem, because of course it does. But, since this is a minimal box any % run, I don't have to worry about that again. Honestly, I've noticed that a lot of these levels, I am blitzing through them way quicker than I have probably ever. Since I have never done any % runs of any of the Crash games, because every time I want to come back and replay them, it's always 100%. It's just the way I've been. But I've never had a reason just to do any %. But a Let's Play is a pretty good reason for doing it, you know? Especially to do something experimental like this, where I play the game in a way I've never played it. I have to actively avoid boxes whenever possible. It really does change things up, and makes things fresh in a series that I've been playing for just about 2 decades, man. When I think about it, like, Jesus. Crash Bandicoot Warped came out in 1998. That game is already 22 years old. It's insane. Literally. It doesn't feel like I've been playing the games for that long, but I mean, the calendar doesn't lie, does it? I guess sometimes it can. Wow. Already at the end of the level. That's cool. That was a nice little night trek through the level. I do remember it being pretty annoying do with the Death Root. It's kind of like a mini Digging It issue, I guess you could say. Kind of a smaller version of Digging It, you know, the darkness. Alright, well, this is the last level I'm planning to play as Coco. I don't know, is it just me? Or did I wind up not playing as Coco as much here like I did in the Crash 1 Let's Play? In the comments, feel free to correct me if I'm maybe a little off with my assumption there, but don't worry, when we get to Crash 3, we'll be seeing a lot more of Coco, thankfully. I may even be tempted to do most of that game with Coco, just because it makes a lot more sense than doing it in Crash 1 and Crash 2. Anyway, all we've got left are Rocket, Pack Attack, and Spaced Out, which should fittingly be the last level, in my eyes, but... Alright, Rocket and Pack Attack, they're the same type of level. So we're going to start with Rocket, and, well, we'll let it speak for itself, why don't we? So, Rocket and Pack Attack, you know, this late in the game when we're getting a new gimmick, well, we get to use a jetpack, sort of. It's probably not the jetpack you're thinking of, but it certainly functions like a jetpack, well enough. So you use the control stick to move up, down, left, and right, and you use shoulder buttons to go backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. You can still spin, though. The slide button is also a backwards button. And X, the jump button, is also the forward button. The shoulder, whether you think the shoulder buttons or the face buttons work better, I definitely think that's up to the player. I don't mind these levels too much, honestly. They can be a little slow, especially when you have to take your time to get all the boxes and avoid all the obstacles and whatnot, but I'm trying to avoid boxes, so that should help me save some time, but I also have to worry about avoiding the obstacles or I'm gonna blow the heck up. Good lord. But I will say the music for the jetpack levels is pretty great. It's not really my kind of music per se, but I can definitely see the appeal. That they go for like a more majestic kind of music. And it's, you know, it's really fitting that 4 of the 5 levels in the final warp room, which has a spacey theme, are space-themed levels, but 2 of them have a unique jetpack gimmick, and 2 of them are the traditional platforming levels. And then we have that nighttime force level to make things come full circle because, you know, we had those 2 force levels in the first warp room. Seemed kind of like a spam a little bit. Yeah, 5th warp room is really a solid set of levels. And we also have the electric scientists from the lab from Crash 1. And this time they're getting in on the jetpack action. Well, I guess you could say they have good taste because jetpacks are definitely fun. But this time they actually serve a purpose. You can actually knock them to a gate and, you know, make your way forward by using them as a sacrifice instead of in the lab where you pretty much just made them go down a pit for no real reason. So at least now their deaths can serve a real purpose besides getting out of your way, which, hey, that's a pretty good purpose sometimes. Let's not lie here. Alright, ooh, oh yeah, that was a little close. Oh man, I sure do love my nitro. Why don't we just spam all of the nitro in the same spot in this level? And make it obviously not very hard to dodge. Low stress right there. There's the crystal, which blends into the scenery surprisingly well. I think we got this last electric scientist, and we're gonna be pretty much done with this level. Just gotta wait for the proper timing. Oh god, one more, and ooh, man, that was close. I almost ran into the force field. That would have been bad if I ran into the force field right there. Almost half of the boxes. I don't think I hit any boxes though, thankfully. It's pretty easy to avoid them if you can, because I don't think you can break the boxes unless you do a spin while you're in the jetpack, so that's pretty nice. So what I'm gonna do for the next level, I'm just gonna jump cut straight to it, honestly, just to save you guys some time. I'm actually gonna be silent for the whole thing since I've already said everything I need to say about this type of level. But like I said, the music's pretty great, so why not just have this be the Hog Wild equivalent of of the one level that I don't talk and I just play and let it speak for itself. I think that's fine. a nice little breather for me, huh? Pack Attack's definitely slightly harder than the other one. I think I actually died once in Pack Attack, and I don't think I died a single time in Rocket. I think Pack Attack was the only one with an Aku Aku mask that I could see. So I guess that should tell you about how much more difficult it is. But hey, without further ado, it's time for the grand finale. Because let me tell you, the final boss fight with Cortex in this game is nowhere near as extravagant as the one from Crash 1. Actually, Nasty Nork would be a more apt comparison, believe it or not. Kind of fitting. I actually just finished recording the Let's Play of Spyro 1, so that's kind of a fitting thing to bring up. Yes, Crash, point to the gate. We know it's coming. Oh boy, normally Spaced Out is one of the hardest levels in the game when you're going for everything, but I'm only going to go for the crystal. But there is a special route you can take if you've collected all the color gems, which, bada bing, bada boom. I collected all but the red one on screen. I had to go back off screen to get the red gem, but yeah, we got all the color gems, so we're going to go down that rainbow path and see what that gives us. Should be a gem. But yeah, this is a fitting end. Oh, hello, Aku. Nice to have you join us for the final stretch. But yeah, Spaced Out is more the same with Piston Away, but you can get to hear more of that great music. Well, I'm going to be talking over it the whole time, but still, nice to hear it in the background, I guess you could say. Alright, we got bouncy crates, thankfully. You can hit those 4 times before they bust, but those ones seem to be in the way. It's not much I could do there, but they can take the abuse, thankfully. The enemies that fluctuate back and forth from being vulnerable to jumps or slides, and they start off doing that right off the bat in Spaced Out. Spaced Out assumes that you've already been through the hell of Piston It Away, so keep that in mind as you go through the level. But we're going to go through the gem route since we have all of the colored gems. I mean, I got 4 out of 5 of them on screen, and I got the red one off screen, so, you know, not a huge deal. Timing of this is rather annoying. You kind of have to delay it a little bit and you get so little time here. With this one, you kind of have to delay your jump off of that enemy. And I think it's a similar pace here. Alright, barely made out of there. Alright, from blue to green. And this time we have a focus on the shrink rays. That counts as a hit. Believe it or not. Whoa! Alright, seems like that was actually the better strategy. Whoop! Whoop! Alright, now we're back to the pistons, and we got that enemy in the background. You cannot ignore it. Ignoring it would be dangerous. Freaking electricity, good lord. You know, with the hitbox of the electricity of those enemies, I've always, even in the PS1 version, I've always found them to be inconsistent. I think it's just, if you always aim for the body, it really improves your chances a lot, but it's still not really a guarantee. Believe it or not, it's really weird how that is, how it's coded. But it is. I wouldn't say that that's one thing that the remake accidentally or purposefully made worse. I think it's always been kind of a pain. Might have been intentional design, I don't know. Alright. On the red gem now. I believe all that's left is purple. Looks like for red, they're going to bring back the shield scientists. And then we have the shrink ray. Well, get to show off that cool death animation, honestly. But I don't want to have to show off all that process again, so I'm going to cut straight until we get there. Alright, anyway, yeah, we got the shield scientists over here, but we also have the shrink rays. Honestly, I kind of found it hard to notice at first earlier, but this time, we should be good. Alright, still gotta time it. You gotta also wait for Crash or Coco to come back from their crouch, too. I find that sometimes they don't always come back from the animation right away, which can be kind of annoying. Alright, you just gotta time it with the shields to avoid the shrink rays of doom. Let's see when would be the best time to do this. There we go. Alright, 2 slides. Know how to cut it. Alright, purple. What challenge do we have with purple? Oh, we go straight to these. Alright. So yeah, the gem route, the multicolored gem route of Spaced Out really gives you a bunch of micro platforming challenges, I guess you could say. Kind of like Bit and Bite. It doesn't really give you the full course for the level, but if you want to see the full level, well, I'm gonna plug my speed play because I can and I will. But all that's left now is the final battle with Cortex. Again, I ask you to set your expectations accordingly. Think Nasty Nork. And then I remembered we have to collect the crystal. Oh boy, I look so silly right now. But yeah, I wanted to show off the gem route. I didn't even think, oh, we gotta get the crystal. We gotta get the crystal. We can't get to the final boss. But what I said at the end was still true. When we get to the final boss, think less Ripto and more Ganasty Gnork. That kind of boss fight, quotations, I dare say. So, yeah, we do get to see the whole level here with my commentary, so that's pretty nice. I mean, I said most of what I had to say for the space levels and pissing it away. I could just be silent and let the music speak for itself, which, would that really be the worst thing in the world? Honestly, probably not. Alright, I actually don't know, I forget how to progress here. Okay, I'm not gonna correct, yeah, there we go. Alright, yeah, after the whole shenanigans with the spaced out multi-gem route and then realizing, oh, I still gotta do the main route to get the crystal. Jesus. Alright, jump on the enemy and we're good. That platform is just there to help you get the Wumpa Fruit. Oh, this wise guy isn't gonna change between being vulnerable to jumps or slides. He's just gonna roam about. Alright. I see how it is. Still got him, though. Alright. Not all of the pistons are here to crush you. And thankfully, we have checkpoints. Feels like it's been ages since I saw a checkpoint box. Considering all the times I had to redo that gem route. Only to find out, you still have to get the crystal. It is what it is. You know, my memory these days. And the inconsistent hitbox with the electricity. Oh, of course. But this is what I was talking about. The whole glass pane in front of you adds a pretty unique aesthetic for this level compared to Piston It Away. Piston It Away didn't have this, so yeah, it gives this one a little bit of an edge, I guess you could say. Alright, let's see what we want to do with this enemy. I guess we want to wait and then get it there. Right before the hitbox changes. Good lord. I think I had a run, maybe one time, where the guy with the shield actually successfully bumped me into the nitro. It was simultaneously hilarious, but also depressing at the same time. I think actually I might have run into the nitro after I pushed him towards it too one time. Yeah, this level can be kind of a mess, but it is the final level and you should expect some degree of difficulty. It's only natural. And we go through there, checkpoint. I guess if you count the multi-gem color route, this might be longer than Piston It Away, but I don't know. Piston It Away does have that death route going for it, which I didn't show off, but yeah, I do remember the death route being fairly long. The death route being like half the level, if you're going for 100%. Thankfully, we can ignore the bonus room. I seem to remember either the bonus room for Spaced Out or the one in Piston It Away being objectively one of the hardest bonus rooms in the game, I think. So, yes. Slide into the enemy, not into the Shrink Ray, though. We learned our lesson with the Shrink Ray earlier, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay, we gotta do this again. Wait for the enemy to be there. And yeah, that's the best course of action. That part. Safe spot, don't even have to mess with that enemy. I don't want to have to do the jump thing again. Well, I guess I have to, so I get to see that animation. Okay. Jump into the safe spot. Oh god. Wow, I actually managed to hit the enemy without... Huh. So wait, how do I think I can do a spin attack? Oh, that works. Man, it was that simple the whole time. Alright. get the nitro, exclamation mark, nitro, almost get hit by the freaking flaming platform. Well, not really flaming, it's just really hot to the touch, you see. That guy, thankfully that's a single slide. Some of them take 2, some of them take 1. Kind of inconsistent. I think the shrinker, yep, the shrinker thing was right below the piston. Pretty clever design there, but it ain't gonna fool me with my years of experience. But now, we really finished the level for good. I didn't mean to do a fake out there. Again, set your expectations accordingly. Think less Ripto and more Gnasty Gnorc as we head into this final boss fight for Crash 2.
Yes! My plan is nearly complete, and I have you, Crash Bandicoot, to thank for it. Engine, what's happening? What's that? Is she stealing our signal?
Crash, Cortex isn't gonna use the crystals to contain the planet's energy. He's gonna harness the force and use it to power the Super Cortex vortex he's built on his space station. One blast and the ray will cover the entire world, turning everyone into Cortex's mindless slaves. Crash, don't let him have those crystals!
Engine, you fool! She's telling him everything! Oh, yes, we're back now. Pardon the, interruption. Crash, bring me crystals!
Man, he sure is addicted to his crystal, hasn't he? Anyway, well, let's just, get this over with, why don't we? This is my least favorite Cortex fight in the trilogy. This is most people's least favorite fight of the trilogy because it's not really much of a fight. Like I said, there's a reason I'm telling you to think more about Gnasty Gnorc rather than someone like Ripto for final boss standards. We're just gonna swag walk right into here. So, it turns out the jetpack levels were actually training you for the final chase. That's right, you're chasing Cortex through a space tunnel, which, I mean, it's different. I will say that much. It is a different thing to do for the final boss. But at the end of the day, you are chasing. You are not fighting him. You are chasing him. Just like with the final boss of Spiral 1 with Gnasty Gnorc. Now, there is a chance you could get to the end of the level and you'll have not hit him 3 times. And as far as I know, you can't actually die. Oh, actually, we're done. So, yeah. You get the speed shoes here, and I get to talk about this. This is only really useful for the time trials to get the relics. This is something they retroactively added in Crash 1 and Crash 2, but originally time trials and relics were exclusive to Crash 3 when the games were originally released on the PS1. But I will be talking more about that when it's becoming a lot more relevant in Crash 3, where you actually need to get relics to get the secret ending there, whereas the relics in Crash 1 and 2 are strictly bonus affair, much like the ability to play as Coco in Insane Trilogy. Any other final thoughts about this boss fight, I guess you could call it? It's not objectively bad, it's just not what you would expect. Like, on its own, it's not good, but in the context of the trilogy, it's, you know, you fight Cortex, and then you chase him, and here in Crash 2. Crash 3 is a bit of a return to form in terms of the Cortex fights, I find. It's my favorite one, but I wouldn't say it's the hardest or the best one, maybe. But hey, you'll just have to stay tuned for when I do the Let's Play of Crash Bandicoot Warped. I'm looking forward to it, but as for Crash 2, we've wrapped it up. This was a minimal box run. Like I said, the secret ending, I mean, I've technically already done it in my speed play, 100% speed play, but I kind of want to get it. If I remember to do it when I do the bonus video with Stormy Ascent and Future Tense, I think I might throw this in there, because Crash 2 didn't get a bonus level for Insane Trilogy, so maybe I can throw that in just kind of like to fill in the gap a little bit, if I decide to do that. I'm not going to say it's coming for sure, a bonus video, but I'll say it's a very likely thing to think about. So, without further ado, this has been Lasley with this Let's Play of Crash Bandicoot 2 Insane Trilogy, and I hope you sincerely enjoyed it. Hope it was something different, rather than a typical 80% or a typical 100% playthrough. Next time we do Crash Bandicoot Warped, expect a similar length, since that one's going to be 80% as well, at least as far as the Let's Play and the commentary is concerned.
You haven't seen the last of me, Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I know.
Crash, what do you suppose happened to Cortex? And what about the Cortex Vortex? It's still up there.